The opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Invisible Wounds or Wightman. Please be aware that the content of Fireside Chats with Deborah may contain sensitive subjects such as suicide, grief, violence, PTSD, and other mental health conditions. By discussing these subjects, we will decrease stigma, bring awareness, and hope. If you need support, please reach out to trusted contacts, family, friends, call your doctor, or go to the closest emergency department. Call helplines such as Boots on the Ground at 1-833-677-BOOT. We hope this series helps build self-confidence in you. On today's show, Carol Phillips, personal trainer and fitness instructor, My Road to Recovery. Fireside Chats with Deborah is sponsored by Leslie Motors of Hairston, Walkerton, and Wingham. Visit lesliemotors.com to learn more.
Leslie Motors Sales Department is open Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. Give us a call at 1-877-357-3460 to book an appointment today.
And by South Bruce Flooring and Bernie McGlynn Lumber Limited, a local company bringing beauty to your home, one board at a time. Started in 1964 by Jerry and Mary McGlynn in Wingham to supply lumber to farms, the company has now grown to serve both commercial and residential customers. In 1983, Bernie purchased the company from his father and still owns and operates it with his wife Doreen and their children Lucas, Sheldon, and Sharina. You can visit them yourself in the South Bruce Flooring showroom north of Mildmay. A great selection of hardwood flooring and lumber sourced from Midwestern Ontario, along with byproducts of sawdust, mulch, and wood chips. For more information, go to southbruceflooring.com or call 519-367-3215.
Good evening, everyone, and glad to have you back to Fireside Chats. And with me tonight is my friend, a woman who was my personal trainer, and I was very happy to have her show me and teach me some things. And my hope is that, and my expectation is that in our conversation, Carol, that you will also share things with the audience that will help them with their health, regardless of their age and their mobility and things like that, which you're so good at.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome. So where would you like to start? A little bit of history about yourself, perhaps, because you've overcome some obstacles, which I think probably has impacted you, if you're comfortable sharing any of those. One or two.
Okay, I'm a cancer survivor. A double mastectomy and breast cancer. During the treatment for my cancer, I went into multiple organ failure and had 3 heart attacks. So my heart has been repaired. Certainly those were some very dark days. The value of my life was in question. All of the things that I expected to look forward to were not guaranteed anymore. And it was really a dark time in the soul. And I would have to say that the two things that brought me away from the abyss was my volunteer work with para-athletes and coming into the gym and starting that wellness journey from the very, very basic movements and the notion of even coming in the door. So those two opportunities that converged at probably the darkest days of my life have caused me to go on a wonderful journey of discovery and wellness and joy. So now I work at the North Huron Westcast Community Complex in the fitness center as a personal trainer and as a fitness instructor. My passions really are heavy lifting and yoga and Pilates, so the mind-body connection. And I personally like to pull a little iron. So I don't necessarily force that onto my clients because not very many people come for that. My area now of specialty, where I spend most of my personal training hours, are in post-physio recovery for people who have had catastrophic injury or loss. And that will bring us to why mind-body is so important in our wellness journey. So, you know, when we're not well, we automatically go to these dark places. We question our worth and we question our purpose. And we doubt our future. And those things, those ideas become so entrenched in our brain that we start to not look after ourselves, because the shell that we were given, our bodies, to carry our spirit around has disappointed us or has failed us. So when our shell, our body fails, our spirit starts to take our balance away, our self-esteem, our the idea that we have gifts to give to other people. Because we are so broken, we must be worthless. And we can wallow in that idea. Having come into my yoga practice, which, by the way, I didn't sail smoothly into it as a good idea. I must tell you, I was dragged kicking and screaming into quiet places. When we start to come into our quiet place, when we start to treat our bodies as first curiosities and then as cabinets, we can start to draw our troubles to the part in our heart where we can use, for example, a yoga movement like this to push them away. And then we can start to change our attitude about what this is for, so that this comes out.
So if I can I interrupt?
Sure.
Okay, so then I just want to ask you this. When you speak of yoga, I mean, we hear the word all over the place. Where does it stem from?
Well, yoga is an Eastern discipline. There's some conversation about whether it came from India, did it come from China, did it come out of Buddhism, did it come out of Hindu, or the Vishnu. You can believe what you want. I mean, I think, and I mean that respectfully, because in the universe, in the world, an idea doesn't just germinate in one place. I see the more and more as the years go by, I see that ideas, common thinking about compassion and kindness, wellness and care, crop up in all kinds of different disciplines. So there are some that will say with the Buddhist tradition, like Shinto, and then there'll be others that will go to Indian type disciplines, like Brikam or Hashtanga or Hatha. You know, it's like it comes.
Okay.
So the slowness of movement seems to be from the Eastern cultures.
Okay. Thank you. So just to take it back, so how did you get introduced to it? Who introduced you to it?
My boss made me take the course so we would teach it.
Okay.
And you know, we were young and impressionable at the time. And she says, well, you're going to go and take this discipline, and you're going to go and take this course and get this certification because I need for you to teach it in class. And like, sure. Not understanding in those first few even years how this really benefits.
Right.
It's like, okay, I'm going to teach everybody to stand on one foot right now, or I'm going to teach everyone to bring their hands together. And it's like, okay, let's. And then as you become more disciplined, as you settle into it, as you allow yourself to be drawn in, why it works becomes apparent to you. We live in a world, Deborah, where everything is so busy and so kinetic, and our date books have to be full, and every moment has to have some outward reaching significance to it. And in that, we lose ourselves. We're always giving everything, our well runs dry. And the beauty of the mind-body disciplines is that we make you come back to your well, to your depth.
So when you teach this, you teach it, again, this would be in a group setting?
Yes.
And what about limitations for people, either things that they may have that limit their involvement in it? Besides mindset, I guess would be one, but other than that?
I'm going to hesitate for a moment and try and formulate the answer to your question specifically. It's so important when you're looking at the disciplines of yoga, regardless of which practice you decide to follow, to understand the dynamics behind it and to be patient with it. So when you're asking about someone with limitations, I will bring you the asana, the pose, and within your limitation, together we will find a way for you to express that pose. So this will sound like humble brag. I feel blessed to have a gift to teach on every level. So I have clients that cannot move at all, clients who are very nubile, clients with tremoring diseases, clients with neuropathies, clients that are just perfectly normal in every single way, except for their mind does this, and they want it to do this. And the gift that I've been given through yoga is the skill to teach them all and to be able to explain the practice in a way that makes sense to them and to explain the movement in a methodology that is achievable with the skill that you brought to me.
Very interesting. So very individual, even though it's
in a group setting. Yes.
Wonderful. So when you have somebody join, do they typically stay for like a month or 3 months, or what's the length of time that they would typically stay?
What a wonderful question. I have clients that come to my class who've been coming since I've been teaching, so it's about 12 years.
Oh, 12 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some just keep coming and
Yeah.
some are new. Once you start to develop the skill, it becomes its own reward. And I'm really just providing a place for you, the practitioner, to create your own wellness path, your own quiet, your own challenge, however it is.
Right.
You know, so do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So people come and they progress on their own level, and our job is, as yogis or yoginis, is simply to facilitate your growth as a practitioner. So once they start coming, they find their own reward, their own quiet, their own challenge. They just keep coming.
Just keep coming.
They just keep coming. Yeah. One of the things that we talk about a lot in yoga, and I know is of interest to you, is that we do, again, live in this time where we're so busy and our minds are very busy, and we are very judgmental of ourselves. And one of the beauties of a yoga practice when you come in is we make you turn the noise off. At the very beginning of the class, we ask you to set your intention. And it's just a moment where you stop just and sit on your mat or your chair and go, okay, why did I come today? And we're a little bit lighthearted in ours. It's like, put your grocery list away, forget about what you have to do 10 minutes after you walk out of class. What is your intention for now? And you can see people, particularly those more practiced, just go. And the person that's new to the class is going. And then they go, and they begin. You see? So, because the hardest thing we do in our own wellness journey, in particular our mental wellness journey, is to turn off the noise. It's like, stop. And that's the beauty of mind body. All of the disciplines is, the first thing we're going to ask you to do is shut it off.
Do you still take people outside at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we like to, as soon as the weather turns, we like to get outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know.
There's something almost magical about doing our evening yoga class, and where we do our class in Wingham in the summertime faces west. And so when we come into our final poses, we might do easy sitting and just watch the sun go down and allow that quiet. Again, that's where we started. Let your shoulders come down. And then at the end of the practice, it's like, give yourself credit for what you've done and what you ask yourself to do. And just as the sun goes down, allow your worries to go with them. Allow the moment to just settle on your shoulders. Now in Blythe, when we go there, we tend to practice in midday. And we allow ourselves to be kissed and warmed and caressed by the summer sun and the breeze. And allow ourselves to take in the freshness of the grass or the distant sound of children playing.
So Carol, when you're actually teaching the yoga, do you articulate to your clients about the cues that they might be missing, like you just did now, identifying, here's the things that you might hear or see or sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's
Absolutely.
part of the teaching program.
One of the things that we want to do, it's almost like two-pronged approach, is that we want you to pay attention to how you move your body and how your body feels when it moves. So teach yourself the movement, okay? But so that is, by the way, is a movement. But the other thing I want you to do is to be mindless in the movement and allow it to take place while something else is happening. And then bring it back to the movement and let it happen. And that is quite different than if we go into a fitness class where we're pushing iron, because everything is very intentional.
Right.
And everything is very mindful, and it's quantitative. And in yoga, we don't necessarily want it to be that. We want it to be more intuitive.
Okay. Do you speak or focus much about the spiritual connection that people may or may not develop while they're doing yoga? Do you go there?
We try not to too much because of the setting that we're in, which is a gym community or fitness community. So in terms of Eastern mysticism or things like that, we find mostly our clients are not as comfortable with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's always a door that can be opened if you start to come to the physical class, and we neither encourage nor discourage, but people have found themselves curious enough to do their own research.
Okay. Yeah. It can be quite enlightening, isn't it? Could be the door that opens so many other doors.
I'm sorry. I don't use very many quotes from Confucius or Buddha or those. The one that I use more often is when someone comes troubled. The Buddha said, allow yourself to be a vessel, an empty vessel, open at both ends. So what comes to you goes through you and leaves. And that's probably the only mysticism, for want of a better word.
Yourself to get into.
Just allow yourself to. It's like, because when we bring our troubles in the class, in our practice, you want to be like that gong and let it just flow on through. Just for that 60 minutes, that 45 minutes, or just let it be.
Thank you. Is there anything that you would like to say to the audience just around this part of our conversation?
I think if you haven't tried a class, find one and go. Understand that different practitioners and different disciplines have approaches, but it's such a broad-based activity. You will find somewhere that is quiet for you, and that's a wonderful place to be.
Thank you. For me, it's the lake. The waves.
We have done yoga classes at the lake.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It was very cathartic.
Yeah. The other thing we cannot miss, and I appreciate the fact that you reminded me of your volunteer experience, which was absolutely amazing.
Oh, haven't I had fun? It's an open question. I have had a lot of fun. Life has presented me with some outstanding adventures. So for years and years and years, I'm sure this is where you want to take a little side trip to. I volunteered with track and field program and progressed through the ranks of the track and field program. I was the head chaperone for Team Ontario, going to the Youth Nationals for 3 years. The connections there allowed me to volunteer at the Pan Am Games when they were in Toronto, and the Para-Pan Am Games, which was very, very exciting, which opened a door opportunity for me to volunteer at the Canada 55 Plus Games for seniors, which allowed me to have an opportunity to volunteer for the Special Olympics. All of these wonderful chances. I've done a couple other things too, so maybe we'll bring them up later, but this is the important part. It's just the Pan Am Games were really exhilarating and exciting, and I was fortunate enough to be able to be on the track in field of play, which means we were right down on the track with all of the athletes, and a good time was had by all, and it's wonderful to watch this kind of excellence at street level, as it were. And it was a marvelous experience, but the Para-Pans changed me, because you see potential where other people, the naked eye would look at it and see tragedy and disability. By being on the track with these athletes, you see what can be, and all you have to do is choose. And so the years between Pan Am was 2015 and the Invictus Games allowed me to build my resume. And then when the Invictus Games came along, I was very, very lucky to be included at the track and in the pool. And the Invictus Games, which are of course very popular in the news right now with Prince Harry, are the games for wounded warriors.
Right.
And being involved in that experience changed my life view in the most profound way. Because when you're that close to the athletes, and again, on street level with the athletes, and you see the damage and the destruction to the human body and the human spirit, and what coming together through that to create these other communities, how it builds this greater good inside the community. It's an astounding thing to see and to experience. And the bravery of those soldiers, and to have done all those things for us, and then to come to this other athletic arena where they had to challenge themselves in ways that bypassed what was taken from them. It's just extraordinary. And Deborah, it didn't make me feel small or anything like that, or contrite about my own skills. It made me humble and hopeful.
Hopeful.
In so much as whatever disability you bring to me in my job, because I've had the experience of working with para-athletes and witnessing and then being at the Invictus Games, working with and witnessing, when I see you, I see your potential where you only see your disability. And that, to me, is the gift of hope. And when we have hope, we can develop wellness.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a marvelous experience. I cannot imagine. You know, I remember chatting with you a few years ago around it, and I think that must have been before you went to the last one. Yeah, and just how impactful it was, and yeah.
And the Invictus Games are coming back to Canada in 2025 to Vancouver.
Oh, and you're going to be there, are you?
Let me just check my schedule. If at all I could, I would go, yes.
Yeah, good for you. And so your life has really served a purpose and continues to serve a purpose.
Yes, I hope I'm not done.
I'm trying to compliment you, lady. Don't make it a joke.
No, you know, in all seriousness about that too, Deborah, we collectively, societally, get into this place where we're either self-serving or self-demeaning. It's like, well, I don't really have anything to offer anyone. I just get up and go to work every day, or I have this little, and it's and I heard Queen Elizabeth one time do it in one of her Christmas speeches about dropping the pebble in the pond and how things ripple out. And we can sometimes in our pain and in our darkness or in our closed-in spaces forget that we're that pebble, that what we do or can do does reach out. And because we forgot that we do that, we don't give ourselves any credit for the good that we do around us, the gift that we are to other people. We don't. You know, so hopefully I'll have a few more miles on the old engine to continue to go out and mentor in a whole new group of people who want to be well, to lead or to push or to stand beside. It doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, I think it does matter, and I think you matter, and people like you, and
Yes.
you know, making our world a better place. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this has been.
Now, is there anything I can do for you?
Oh, you can fix me.
Well, let's start right here with touching our heart center. Let's start right here.
Here we go.
Touch your heart center.
Oh God.
Okay. Feel your purpose. Feel your intuition. Feel your purpose. Give your blessing. Namaste.
Thank you.
Invisible Wounds will host events promoting mental wellness to first responders, their families, and civilians. Our upcoming national conference, the Invisible Wounds Conference for First Responders, will be held October 5th and 6th, 2022 at the Prince of Wales Hotel and Spa, Niagara-on-the-Lake. To find out more, please visit our website at invisible-wounds.ca.